All right. Looks like we're live now. And I don't think there's anybody watching just yet, but I would feel weird if I didn't say welcome to the very first live stream, very first official one. We've done a few trial runs of this, but tonight this is the very first official live stream where we're actually going to talk about an actual topic instead of just trying things out, seeing how it all works. Welcome to the one person who is here first. You're here first, and that's exciting. You should feel good about yourself for that. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to wait for a few more people to show up. Going to give it 5-10 minutes maximum, and then we're going to get into tonight's topic, which is 10 comedy movies that I would highly recommend. I spent last couple of days choosing which movies I wanted to talk about, and they're not in any particular order, but these are 10 movies that when somebody says, I feel like watching this movie, I never say, nah. It's the kind of movie that I'm like, yeah, put that on. Definitely watch that. To the one viewer that I have so far, excuse me while I link this to my Instagram. That way people over there can be notified that we are live, and I can also make sure. Just want to make sure this is actually working as well. So we just want to share this, and like I said, we want there to be more than one person, although I love you dearly, no matter. If you're able to say something in the chat, say what's up, let me know that you're here, and we can get things rolling conversationally. That's the fun part of this too, is I love that we got the chat box open up. That way, when I discuss certain movies and whatnot, you guys can tell me what you think, and we can actually talk about them, not just have me talk about them. We can all talk about them. And let me just figure out how to share this link here. There we go. And it always flatters me when I see the second person join, but I realize it's me because I went to the actual video. So I am just going to put this link into my Instagram profile here. That way people can join us. All right. There we go. Should be good. Don't worry, guys. We'll get things rolling in a few minutes. I know there's 2 of you here, but we just want to wait for a few more people to join us. And as we said, we're talking about 10 comedy movies that I would recommend. And I'm curious if everybody has seen these. I wonder if there's a person who's literally seen all of these and is able to. I should have held some kind of contest or something. Where it's like, but then again, how would I know? How would I know you're telling the truth? Of like, I've seen that. I've seen that. But contests would be fun to do in the future. I think that'd be actually pretty cool. All right. I'm just going to say, let's take a picture of this and then let everybody know that we're live. Cringy picture there. And we'll get things rolling conversationally. Like I said, if you're able to type in the chat box over here, then say what's up. That way I know who's watching. And we can talk about these movies and talk about a couple other things here and there. But the main focus tonight is these 10 awesome movies. I'm just going to make sure this is working too. What's up, y'all? Love that word, y'all. Good way of addressing everybody, you know. It's better than saying guys and stuff like that, because not everybody is a guy. So y'all, you all. All right, I'm gonna make one more post and I'm gonna check some other links and make sure that everybody's able to join us here tonight. And because what time we got? Yeah, it's only 7:02 by my clock, so right around 7:05 we'll start talking about the first movie on my list here, and that shall be fun. Okay, let's see. I'm live now. Link in bio. Go like this. All right. Yeah. There we go. All right. For the two people that are here, it seems like you're a little shy to talk in the chat room over here. Otherwise, I would talk directly to you and address you by name, but it's all good. If you don't want to talk in the chat box, that's fine. No problem. But we want everybody to have fun tonight. So to quote Wang Chung, everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun. Might as well do some voices too, right? That's the whole theme of this channel. So I'm going to pull up my list here so I don't lose that. A list of movies, that is. What time we got? It's only 7:03. It's amazing how long a minute can feel when you're waiting for something. I thought it was like 7:06 by now, which would have meant like at least 5 more minutes went by, but it's not the case. But just so the two people that are here do know, we're going to try and do this every single Friday night. So if this is the official first one, and if it's a little bit low in numbers, that's to be expected. And we can hopefully make that number grow over time. I was going to say over the next few weeks, but hopefully it'll grow every time. That way we gain a bigger audience and bigger chat and all that every single time. But the channel only has 65 subscribers so far. I mean, that's awesome. That's really good that there's people enjoying. But we do want to make that grow. And that way, when it comes to doing these live streams, you guys can recommend things or suggest topics that you want to talk about or hear about my opinions on or whatever it may be. And then we can all vote on topics and possibly make the live streams a little longer than 45 minutes to an hour kind of thing. But other than that, that's the plan for the live streams. And maybe I'll do a little secret reveal here to the two people that are watching. You're going to get the very first upload on Saturday is tomorrow. And the very first Sunday upload is this Sunday. In case you missed it in the last couple videos, I've been saying that I'm now going to do uploads on weekends instead of 3 times a week. It was just a little more of a hectic schedule for me to try and do 3 videos in a week as opposed to working on 2 videos throughout the week and then uploading them on the weekend. And that's why we'll do the live streams on Friday nights as a little bit of a winding down to our week and just kind of a chill hangout sort of vibe. And that should be pretty fun. This Sunday, I was thinking about things today. This Sunday, there's a new song coming to the channel. If you didn't already listen to my original song, Better Off Alone, which I uploaded a week ago, you can check that one out. It's kind of a twisted love song in the style of the singer Beck. I used his music as inspiration and wrote a silly little stalker type love song. It's twisted, but it's fun. And like I said, on Sunday, there is a new song coming out. It's called I'll Be Okay. And it's in the style of Weezer. So if you like the band Weezer, then you should enjoy this song as well. Okay, we're at 7:06 and we're back down to 1 person. So I'm sure this 1 person is eagerly waiting for the first movie to be talked about. So as I said, these movies are in no special particular order, but the first movie that I wanted to bring up was Wayne's World. And that's, I think, Mike Myers' best work, I would say. The Austin Powers movies are other ones I considered, but I rewatched them recently, and I got to say the humor of the Austin Powers movies specifically is so dated now. The jokes would not work these days. which is sad to say because those movies really inspired me growing up as a kid. And those movies taught me how to do a lot of character work. And those were four impressions. I mean, Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, Fat Bastard, and Goldmember were all impressions that I worked on and I can still do to this day. But it's unfortunate that a lot of the humor that Mike Myers liked to put in his movies just wouldn't work today. Not that it's full on offensive, but it just, a lot of people would consider it dad jokes and things like that. And just, they're kind of cringy. But the humor in Wayne's World, I think, stands up to a bit of the test of time. That's why I decided, again, these aren't in any particular order. So this one's not in like last place, but I find that Wayne's World, it's easy to watch anytime. It's not like other Mike Myers movies where you kind of have to be in a certain mood for it, at least for me anyway. Like I said, the Austin Powers movies, I find I have to be in a certain mood, but Wayne's World, I can watch all the time. And I'm curious if there's other people out there that consider Wayne's World, especially the second Wayne's World, to be a music movie, because I mean, every movie's got a soundtrack, right? But the second one is more about the whole Wayne stock thing, the parody of Woodstock. And I mean, Aerosmith is in the movie, and Meatloaf is in the first one. So if I was to do a list of music movies, it might be on there, but I'm sure people would argue like that's not a music movie. My favorite scene in the first Wayne's World film has to be the scene with Alice Cooper in it, where they go backstage and they have their VIP lanyards and they're going, "Are we cool? Are we cool? Are we cool? Okay." They go backstage and they have a conversation with Alice Cooper about the Native American people who are native to the place they're in. I forget the exact dialogue, but Alice Cooper has probably one of the best lines of the whole movie when he just delivers this educated piece of information to Wayne and Garth, and it's hilarious. So that's always a part that I laugh at really really hard. And of course, Dana Carvey plays Garth. A lot of people tell me my glasses are Garth glasses, and I do have an impression of him. It's kind of like this. If she was lunch meat, she'd be Babylonia. I think that might be the line. But I love Dana Carvey as Garth, and the scene where he meets his dream woman and the Jimi Hendrix Foxy Lady comes on and he does his whole physical bit where he stands up and kind of like gives her this little puppy dog look and he's kind of thrusting. It's just got a lot of good jokes in it. And I love movies that have that. I was going to say slapstick, but that's more of a physical thing. Movies that have those gags, like cutaway gags. Like there's a gag in Wayne's World where Mike Myers opens up a door and there's like a bunch of ninjas fighting. They're not ninjas. They're training academy like spies and stuff. And Garth says something like, "What are we gonna do with these guys?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just always wanted to open a door like they do in those James Bond movies, and there's a bunch of guys training to fight." It's just like, where'd that come from? I love the random humor that's in there. And a lot of Mike Myers' humor has the subtitle jokes too. And I think those are pretty smart for the most part because when the white font appears at the bottom and there's something in the background that's also white that prevents you from being able to read the whole thing, and it cuts off a certain part of the word and it makes the whole sentence seem like the opposite of what's being said, things of that nature. So I just think there's a lot of great jokes in Wayne's World. For anybody who's watching, if you want to say anything about Wayne's World while we're on the topic, then feel free. If not, then I'll move on to the next one. I am really quickly, before I do that, going to check Instagram to make sure that that link is properly working, just to be on the safe side. And then we'll move on to our next movie. Okay, yeah, that's working fine. And okay, cool. For our next film, I think, and again, these are in no particular order, so this one's not low on the list, it's just on the list. This to me is the most female powered comedy of all time, which would be Bridesmaids, starring Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Maya Rudolph. I forget every single person's name that's in that movie. Or I don't remember every single person, but I mean, Kristen Wiig, when she was on Saturday Night Live, was, in my personal opinion, she's the funniest female cast member of all time from Saturday Night Live. Her characters always killed me. I would be cracking up laughing at her. And she's hosted, I think, twice since leaving the show, both of which episodes were phenomenal. And when I saw Bridesmaids in the theater, I thought, my gosh, like they killed it with this. The fact that, and there's another movie on my list, the last one I'm going to talk about tonight, that has a lot of bathroom humor. And I know bathroom humor is usually like, oh, that's a guy thing. There's a lot of like poop jokes, fart jokes, burping, all those types of things. But I mean, that scene in Bridesmaids when they're trying on their dresses and they've had, I think they have like fried chicken or tacos, something like that, before going to the dress fitting. And they're all standing there and they all get this gut ache and they all have like explosive diarrhea or they're vomiting. And I, as a comedian, was like, okay, this is new age type stuff right here. Like the fact that I think there's at least 6 women in the scene, and they commit as performers to, yeah, I'm gonna sit on the sink and pretend that I'm taking a massive crap in the sink while another girl vomits into the toilet. And then of course there's Kristen Wiig trying to play off the whole, she's sweating buckets and just like, nope, no, I don't have stomach ache, I'm fine. And then Maya Rudolph steals the whole scene, if Melissa McCarthy doesn't, by crapping in the sink. But Maya Rudolph, when she runs into the street and wearing her wedding dress, that's like thousands of dollars, if not millions, or whatever the price they say, and she actually craps in her dress in the middle of the street. And it's just the way she delivers that too. She's sitting there going like, "It's happening. I'm crapping. I'm crapping in the street." Aiden's here. All right. Yeah, diarrhea comedy will never die. It's true, because diarrhea will never die. As long as there's humans, there will be diarrhea. So, very, very true. And Aiden, have you seen Bridesmaids? Have you checked out that movie? We were talking about Wayne's World a minute ago. I don't know if you were here for that, but Bridesmaids, I think, is the best female heavy comedy of all time. If something gets made in the near future, it's diarrhea, not diarrhea. Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's been a while since you've seen it. Yeah. It's one that gets played on TV often. Like I think it's on the W network, the women's network or whatever. But if it's on, I'll watch it. That's the thing with the movies I've chosen for tonight. They all are the type of movie that I go, when somebody else suggests it, I'm like, yes. Like I will never say no to watching any of these movies that we're going to be talking about tonight. What's in the part of Bridesmaids that I find hilarious? I mean, I'm a huge sucker for scenes in comedy when the main character has gone through so much stress and BS that there's this pivotal scene where the main character just cracks and flips out. Similar to Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation when he goes off about his boss and the whole hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol line. That kills me. But in Bridesmaids, when Kristen Wiig is at the bridal shower, I think it is, and she's one of the bridesmaids for her best friend, right? And then the maid of honor, who she's already jealous of, gives her this amazing gift that's like this trip to Paris, and she's super jealous, and she just right in that moment goes, "Are you effing kidding me?" And she flips out. She like tries to knock over the chocolate fountain, but it's too heavy, so she just starts splashing it everywhere and like knocks over this art thing, and I just crack up. because it's like there's truth in comedy. The whole it's funny because it's true thing, and we've gone along with Kristen Wiig's character Annie for this ride of stress, and then she reaches this pivotal moment of like, screw this, I'm gonna flip out, and I love that kind of stuff. So, and there's some really heartfelt moments in that movie too that they they used heart and humor in such a way that I don't think has been done since, to be honest. So, Bridesmaids, that was my, well, again, these aren't in particular order, but I'm looking at a specific list. So that was my number 9 for tonight. Let's move on to number 8 while I've still got one person watching. Number 8 for this particular list is the movie Ted, starring Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane. I am a fan of Family Guy, and I wouldn't say huge fan. I don't know every single thing about the show the way I do with other cartoons that I really love. But with Ted, I found again it was the kind of movie that when I saw it in the theater, I went, "Wow, this is a step forward in comedy and filmmaking." Because I mean, not only was that one of the first movies where a CGI character was done so incredibly well that I believed he was there. You know, it's different when you watch like the old Star Wars or even a Muppet movie because they're actually there. There's actually a puppet or a big manufactured prop that actually is a character and it's in the scene. And there's a lot of movies that do that horribly where it's like, oh, okay, they use CGI and it's so obvious that the character or the building or whatever it is isn't actually there. But with Ted, if you watch the special features on the Blu-ray, they talk about things they did to make sure that Mark Wahlberg was actually making eye contact with Ted or anybody in the movie for that matter. They had like a pole with 2 little button eyes on it to be exactly where Ted's eyes would be, and they aimed it and maneuvered it. And there was even scenes where the body was actually being puppeteered and things like that, so that all they had to do was animate the head and the mouth. And I mean, it was just phenomenal. So those effects make it really, really believable. And then the humor is just out of this world. Like, again, I had never seen, I think that movie came out in like 2000, I want to say 8 or 9, but it might have been later than that actually. Like 2011, I could be wrong. If anybody wants to look that up, feel free. I don't have that information written in front of me. But just again, the jokes that pop in and out of the story, and that's the thing too, the story is so good, especially the opener, like the whole way that John got Ted for Christmas. And I mean, just talking about it makes me want to go watch it. And I love like the nostalgia of the beginning. You see all those 80s toys. 2012, okay, so even later than what I was thinking is when Ted came out. Man, time flies. I remember going to see that movie with my sister in the theater, and yeah, that does feel like almost a decade ago. So that makes sense. But I actually even have a life-size Ted. I should have brought it, but it's a couple rooms away, and I don't want to leave you guys with nothing to look at. Uh, you were thinking 29. Oh, sorry, you were thinking 2009 as well. Yeah, I don't know why it felt like it was longer, but I don't know. The sequel must have been like 2013 or 14 then. The sequel was all right. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of sequels leave you feeling like, oh, they tried to kind of redo the first one or leave off where it, or start off where the first one left off, and that can be tricky. But the second one's all right. I would maybe put the second one on a list of like my top 500 movies, but and not that these are my top 10 movies. These are just 10 comedies that I enjoy immensely. Um, but I'm trying to think of some jokes in Ted that aren't too inappropriate. Cause I can do Ted's voice for the most part. You just gotta have that low kind of Peter Griffin type sort of sound to it. I mean, that's the way it sounds to me. I don't know how it sounds coming through the speakers here, but for the most part, I think that sounds pretty good. So that's my Ted. So if you're just joining us, I see there's three people here. We've already talked about two movies, Wayne's World and Bridesmaids. We're currently talking about the movie Ted, starring Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy fame. Oh yeah, the Apache helicopter joke. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing too, right? The narrator in the movie, he has jokes too. It's every single character in the movie has good jokes, and sometimes that doesn't work. If you have like a buddy comedy, for example, and you want those two characters to be the humor, and they live in this world that's very serious, but they are the humor, that works well. But that's something else Ted did, was gave every single character that's in the film at least one funny line. Or I think they worked off of a little bit of stereotype humor, like the douchey boyfriend or the cutesy girlfriend or whatever like that of Mila Kunis's character. But everybody's funny in Ted. Everyone. Yes, even the kidnapper, the guy that steals Ted and his son. They give them these stereotypical creepy vibes, like the little wooden horse in the room and all that. I mean, there again, there's some jokes that I'm sure people would find offensive this day and age in Ted, but you know, there's nothing in it that particularly bothers me. Um, I think a really awesome scene is the house party when the duck comes in with his neighbor and he's fighting the duck, and Flash Gordon is there. Just again, super super random. So thumbs up for Ted. Thanks to whoever gave a thumbs up to the live stream. I appreciate that. Any final thoughts from anybody on Ted before we move on to the next one? The next one is a Will Ferrell movie, but I want to give anybody that wants to talk about Ted one last chance here, because we've got three people hanging out. Seeing none. Actually, I'll give it an extra second because there might be a little bit of delay in when I say that to when someone is able to reply. But nobody's saying much. So let's move on to Step Brothers. I think that is Will Ferrell's best movie by a long shot. He's got a lot of good ones. Even Elf is up there. I know it's a Christmas movie. That would be in my top, 3 Christmas movies. But when it comes to Will Ferrell movies in their entirety, like his whole filmography, Step Brothers would have to be at the top of the list for me. Other ones I really like would be Night of the Roxbury, and Kicking and Screaming was funny. Of course, Anchorman, Ricky Bobby, the whole Talladega Nights NASCAR movie. And there's so many. He does a lot of great movies, but Step Brothers, man. And him and John C. Reilly, they make a really good team. I think they've done like 3 movies together. Step Brothers, of course, Talladega Nights, and I think the Sherlock Holmes one. And I didn't see that. I heard a lot of people say that they weren't a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes. I would watch it because of how much I love both of them. John C. Reilly, of course, being the dude who does Wreck-It Ralph's voice, which is one of my favorite Disney movies. That's not on this list, but yeah, there you go, Aiden, with the classic line. I'm not going to call him Dad, even if there's a fire. I think my favorite scene in Step Brothers would have to be with the drum set. I mean, I'm a drummer. I play the drums, and so this whole I'm able to relate to John C. Reilly's character. Don't touch my drums, because if a drummer's drum set is maneuvered in a different way or misplaced, or just even a little bit off, it's irritating. It's really irritating. It's the equivalent of taking someone's guitar and just fiddling around with the tuning and being like, deal with it. And so when he strictly says, don't touch my drum set, and then he goes and puts a certain part of his body on his drum set. Well, not only that, but he messes everything up, right? He chips his stick, and that's how he figures it out. But that whole fight scene, they're on the lawn like whipping bikes at each other, everything. And that slow motion swing. I think they each swing like a bat and a crowbar, or two really, it might be a golf club actually. They swing it at each other and just clonk each other in the head at the exact same time. And I mean, the fact that also another big thing I'm a sucker for is when grown men in movies act like children, but convincingly. Not just like silly, stupid acting, but when they can pull it off as like, wow, they are full blown acting just like children. Even Tom Hanks in the movie Big, if you've seen the movie Big, I actually watched that for the first time a couple days ago and was amazed at A, how well Tom Hanks did comedy in his early career, and B, how well he portrayed a child in an adult's body. Whereas Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are just these like pathetic losers who never moved out of their parents' house. And they convincingly play children. Everything from the whole walking home from school and going like, oh, we have to take a different route because there's a bully. I just don't want him to get on my kids. That's another great scene too in Step Brothers when he builds it up like he's like, oh, we got to go a different way because there's this bully that he gets on my nerves, man. I just don't want to deal with it. And you know, if you're watching it for the first time, you're thinking, oh, it's like some other guy their age that's gonna like pick on them. They go that way anyways. A bunch of school kids. It's just a bunch of kids on the playground threatening to beat them up. I mean, he like makes them lick dog poop and stuff. I don't know, it's just great. Even when they come home after that and they're crying and they're all whiny and they're wearing their like Mountain Dew t-shirts and stuff, and they're just like crying about it, going like, you know that scene from The Wizard of Oz when the scarecrow gets torn apart? It was like that. It's just so convincing that that they're idiots. And even the parents, the way the parents react to their behavior, it works, man. It just works so well. And anybody have another favorite part or a favorite line from Step Brothers that because I know a lot of people that quote that movie, that go around saying stuff from it, and I know there's a few girls I know that like doing the scene where the family, I think it's Adam Scott is the dad, and the family is singing the a cappella version of "Sweet Child of Mine." I know a lot of people that try and do that. The whole like, I can't think of the tune that they put down for it, but there's a lot of a cappella to it, and they, especially when they're driving the car, they try and do that. So there's, I think I'm thinking about my favorite line from Step Brothers. I think it's something like, um, "Hey Derek, you know what's good for a headache? If you lick my butthole." It's just he says it so. I can't say it with a straight face, but he's, Will Ferrell delivers that line, and I mean, I spit take if I have something in my mouth on that line. It's too good. What's Aiden saying, man? I've been wanting to rewatch Step Brothers lately. Exactly. See what I mean? These are the kind of movies that when we talk about them, it's like, oh man, they're that good. You gotta toss it on. Like I guarantee when this live stream is done, I'm gonna watch Ted because talking about it made me go, I haven't seen it in a little while. So I definitely want to give that one a rewatch. I don't have Step Brothers on DVD or Blu-ray or not even VHS. I don't think that was released on VHS. But unfortunately, I don't have it, so I'd have to rent it, or I'm sure it's on Netflix actually. Um, oh, classic, yeah, the whole bunk bed thing when they build their own bunk bed. A great line in that setup is when they hear the power tools going, and the dad is like, hey, I said no power tools. He's like, oh, it's my toothbrush. He's like, that is not your toothbrush. And of course, yeah, I mean, the bunk bed falls apart. That's classic physical comedy right there. So good. So good. Yeah, yeah, I think it is on Netflix. So if I feel like having a marathon, I might do Ted and Step Brothers tonight. That'd be a great Friday night right there. See, that's the thing, guys. For anybody who's hanging out, this is what I wanted to do with these live streams. Just have it be this chill hangout where we talk about stuff that we like, and you know, I won't ever keep them too long. They'll only be an hour. We got just about a half hour left to go, and that's the thing. We could, you know, be put in these good moods of like, I think after this, I'm gonna go watch that movie. you know. And feel free when the live stream is done and all that. There's a discussion section on the channel that when you're on the main page, it says like videos, playlists, and stuff on my channel. Go to discussion. I've actually put two things in there, and I want to make sure people can actually read those and see them, so that we can communicate on things like what we want to talk about in future live streams and whatnot. So if anybody wants to check that out and drop a comment or a like or anything in the discussion section on the channel, that would be really appreciated. That way I know it's working. Moving on, let's move on from Step Brothers, which is hard to do. But this is one I think, Aiden, you've seen this as well. It's an Andy Samberg film, and it is Hot Rod. It's actually Andy Samberg's first film. And I think he was only 2 or 3, I want to say 2 seasons into his Saturday Night Live career. And he did this awesome movie that didn't do super, super well, in the theaters. But it's like a cult classic style movie now. And I mean, Hot Rod would have to be in like my top 20 movies of all time. There's a list we could do. We could do like a top however many actual favorite movies. But I mean, if you haven't seen Hot Rod, the plot alone is so convoluted. Like, it's such a rabbit hole among itself. Let me see if I get this right. The plot of Hot Rod is a grown man who lives with his parents and his stepbrother. So there's a theme in tonight's stuff, stepbrothers. He's a stunt man. Some great drink. I remember that scene when they're make it, don't ask, just bring it. Yeah. Sorry, we're quoting the movie now. I didn't mean to get thrown off of the plot. So, grown man lives with his mother and his stepfather and stepbrother, and his stepfather becomes terminally ill and needs a heart transplant. Now, Rod is the name of Andy Samberg's character, wants to, quote, kick his dad's ass in order to earn his respect. But now that there's a terminally ill issue and he needs a heart transplant, Rod and his crew they're not all stuntmen, he's the stuntman, but his stuntman crew set out to perform the biggest stunt that Rod has ever done and raise money so that the father can get the heart transplant, so that Rod can kick his ass and earn his respect. That's the plot of the movie. And I mean, it holds up. They relay all that information so you're on board. It's not as confusing as I said it was. But thanks for the props on the Bill Hader one. I think my favorite Bill Hader scene, and there's no argument here, is when Samberg goes to pick up Bill. I think, what's his name in the movie? It's escaping my mind. Shoot, that's gonna. I can't remember Bill Hader's character's name in Hot Rod. Dave. It's Dave. I knew it was a simple name. When Rod goes to pick up Dave, he's like, "Hey man, can you take me to the hospital or whatever?" He's like, "Oh, sure, yeah." As he wakes him up in the middle of the night, he's driving his car or his van, his mom's van, and he relays the information of like Dave dropped acid at work, goes home, hops on his bench grinder, and a piece of metal flies up and hits him in the eye. And he's just sitting there in his minivan with this hunk of metal sticking out of his eyebrow, just talking like it's like, yeah, whatever, just take me to the hospital. And it's super cool. And all in the meantime, he's high on acid. And I'm not super into drug humor, but this is kind of an exception, I guess, where he's just like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, Rod. You look like a giant eagle right now with fire all around you, and you got like a mountain for a face." He's like, "I'm guessing that's the drugs, Dave." Like, he drops him off at the hospital, and he goes, "Look, I know things are feel pretty bad right about now with your biological dad not being a real stunt man and whatnot. But the way I see it, man, is you got this other dad sick at home in bed, and he sure does love you, man. And you know, to deny him of all that, that would just be dumb. Anyway, take it easy, Mountain Face. He just delivers this dialogue that's like so profound. You go, take it easy, Mountain Face. One of my other favorite parts when they do their intros. Oh yeah, yeah. That's again the beats in every scene are comedy gold. Aiden's referring to when they're introducing themselves to Denise, and it's this whole thing of I'm Rod and I like to party. Okay, Dave, you go. He's like, my name is Dave and I like to party. No, Dave, I just said that I party, so maybe do something different from me. He's like, my name is Dave and I am the stunt man. He's like, you know what? Let's move on. And then everybody says, like, I like to party. He's like, no, I just said don't say all that. And after this huge argument, the blow line of the scene is, let's party. It's just, it's so silly, but, and you look pretty Denise, huh? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great line too. That's a scene where Rod is in the driveway, just taking out the garbage, and he's got this crush on the neighbor girl, and she's kind of just being her sweet self to him, and it's that classic emotion for like teenage boys or young guys that are like, oh, I like this girl, and I don't know what to say, and I don't want to look desperate and seem clingy or needy or whatever. And yeah, he goes, you look pretty. And she's like, what? I said you look shitty. Good night, Denise. It's just, there's so many good lines. I mean, even a really underrated line in Hot Rod is when she's talking about her relationship and she goes, I mean, every relationship has its ups and downs. And he goes, right, I've heard that. It's just, I crack up at that line every time. And I want to know what the bathroom at that little burger shack is like, because every time there's a scene there, someone comments like, the bathroom here is nuts. Like, it's like, what? And he finds a bag of fireworks. I think the other dude, drawing a blank on his name, Danny McBride plays him. He comes in, he's like, I just found a bag of fireworks in the men's restroom. Would you like to set them off? He's like, what kind of washroom, bathroom has fireworks in there and deserves the comment, the bathroom here is nuts. Another great Bill Hader line in that is when Rod gets a date with the girl that works at the burger shack, and he's like, wow, I can't believe she said yes. And he's like, yeah, well, you have only to believe if you wish to achieve, Kevin. That rhymed, unintentional. And that's immediately followed by Bill Hader going, wow, I am just green with jealous rage right now. Just says it so casually, like with the Southern lisp. I mean, my favorite part when I was younger of Hot Rod was Cool Beans. Yeah, I got you this rock to represent all my hard work. Wow, Dave, that's number one. Yeah, what was they say there? Cool Beans was my favorite part as a teenager when I was in high school when that movie came out. And it gets so random, just this random humor of they're hanging out. It's supposed to be like your classic apology scene, and that's supposed to move the plot forward. And he's just like, I'm really sorry, man. Cool Beans, Cool Beans, Cool Beans, Cool Beans. And it just breaks out into this song with the whole cool beans, beans, cool beans. It's just like this like weird edited random unnecessary music video. And even on the soundtrack, if you were to buy the soundtrack to Hot Rod, there's like a full rap version of Cool Beans, like a Lonely Island style rap song that is Cool Beans. And I mean, so that movie's really close to my heart. I remember literally watching it for the first time. We rented it when that was a thing on DVD, and I remember saying I could watch this movie every day. Like I was into it that much. Looking at our time here, we do need to move on. We still got 5 more movies to go. The next one, and I know not everybody likes this comedian, And I can see why people say that, because a lot of his movies don't do well, but a lot of them have done really well. And the people that love him, they love him. And the people that are not into him, they hate him. It's an Adam Sandler movie. I believe it was his breakout role, Happy Gilmore. Um, I'm not a big sports guy, so even when a comedy is about sports, I don't I don't jump at it unless the person that's starring in it is someone that I really, really like. Like my favorite actor of all time is Jim Carrey, and the closest thing he's ever done to a sports movie, and it's a long shot, would be The Cable Guy. There's a scene where he plays basketball, and it's really intense and it's just funny. But um, yeah, as a person who's never really been into sports, it's hard for me to find a really good sports comedy movie, but I think Happy Gilmore would have to be my favorite one when it comes to sports. Um, Again, a lot of the jokes in there. I don't know, Aiden, if you've seen Happy Gilmore or anybody else watching has seen Happy Gilmore. I think Adam Sandler was still on Saturday Night Live in the 90s when that movie came out. And I think it was immediately followed by Billy Madison, which is why the company that makes Adam Sandler's movies, or his company, is Happy Madison. It's a combo of the first two movies that he was starred in, and I haven't seen that one. Yeah, the best scene, no questions asked, in Happy Gilmore is, uh, first of all, the character Happy is a hockey player. Like, he aggressively plays hockey, but that's the thing. He's too violent, so no hockey team wants him on their team because he's too aggressive and like beats the crap out of people. There's this backstory where he threatened another player with his skate. Like, he took his skate off and tried to stab him, and so he decides to enter a golf tournament. And to kind of move the plot along here as we talk about it, there's a tournament where they have to play with a celebrity. Um, I don't think they're playing against them. They're like a team sort of thing. Again, I'm not a sports guy, so I don't know how all that necessarily works. But Adam Sandler's character is paired with Bob Barker from The Price is Right. I know Drew Carey does it now, but back in the 90s, it was, famously Bob Barker. They get into a physical fight. They're actually beating the crap out of each other on a golf field. So you got Adam Sandler, Bob Barker, and they're just wailing on each other and calling each other swear words and stuff. And I mean, again, I'm not like hugely into a lot of cursing in comedy unless it's used in a way that actually makes it funny. So it cuts to like executives on the golf uh, program thing, and they're like, wow, Happy and Bob really going at it out there. And you hear keywords, and then you hear censored because they're on TV. It's like the words you hear are like lampshade, baboon, whatever, and then beeps. So it's just, that's funny. But of course, the classic line at the end of the fight is, "The price is wrong, bitch." Then Bob Barker gets up and knocks him, and he's like, I forget exactly what he says, but he calls him a bitch too. And it's just, to hear Bob Barker say the word bitch is pretty funny. So that's by far the best scene in Happy Gilmore. Uh, Aiden's the only one chatting me up here. We got 4 viewers, which is awesome. Um, Anybody have anything to say about Happy Gilmore? I'm just looking at the time. We got about 10 minutes left and 4 more movies to talk about. Um, Anybody want to say anything about Happy Gilmore or Adam Sandler in general? If you have a favorite Adam Sandler movie, you can type that in. That would probably be my personal favorite. He's got a lot of good ones, though. There's actually a Netflix one called, I think it's called Sandy Wexler, and that's Adam Sandler's best stuff in a long time. And I know there's this new Halloween one too. I want to see that. I forget the exact title, but there's a lot of current Saturday Night Live cast members that are in that, and I want to check that out. I know Kenan Thompson is in it, and Mikey Day, Melissa Villasenor. They're all really funny people, and even some classic people like Maya Rudolph is in there, and Tim Meadows, Kevin James, of course. But what Adam Sandler movie isn't Kevin James in, right? So Yeah, Happy Gilmore. That's another one I would recommend. Moving on to, again, my personal favorite Robin Williams movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm sure everybody has seen Mrs. Doubtfire. If you haven't, then I believe that's also on Netflix. If not, it's on Disney Plus. We've got that over here, and I know Mrs. Doubtfire is on there. See, and now that's another one because I know it's on Disney Plus, and in 15 minutes I can go watch it if I want to. Man, oh man, that's the thing. Just mentioning it by name. And Mrs. Doubtfire, I have a few people that say that is their favorite impression that I can do because, well, I don't know. I've never been given a reason why, but I just, some people, my mom included, go, that's your best one. I mean, even when I'm just sitting around here and I just sit and chat and talk to people just like you, and I think, oh, that's just great. I'll sit and chat with everyone here on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We've now got 5 people. Make that 4. They left as soon as I said that. Oh, the poor dears. They must not like my movie. I think that was a rough go, but that's my Mrs. Doubtfire. That's the tone anyway. Um, but I love, again, a movie with a plot like that. It's a unique plot. You don't see that these days. You don't see plots like that in modern comedy movies where it's like, okay, well, and again, Mrs. Doubtfire has so much heart to it. There is so much emotion in Mrs. Doubtfire, and that makes a good comedy by far. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking at a notification I got. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. Yeah, just the massive, scary accurate. Oh, thanks, Aiden. I'm glad my Mrs. Doubtfire. It sounds good through the live stream. But as I was saying, it just a lot of heart to Mrs. Doubtfire. There's moments in that movie that kind of make you tear up a little bit. The kids are played by really great actors, and I think my favorite line from Mrs. Doubtfire would be, "Oh, I'm melting like a snow cone in Phoenix." That's when he's got the. I think he dunks his face in pie or cake or something, right, to disguise his face. He says it's like moisturizer or whatever, and he's passing it off. It's like, oh, I've got to get to the other room. I'm melting like a snow cone in Phoenix. Just drop it, and it drops off his chin into the other lady's coffee and all that. And I know another big line people like is, "Oh, it was a run by fruiting." That's just a great one. That's called liposuction, Liddy. There's just so many good lines. Is that your big expensive car out there? It's just a great voice to try out. And I think Robin Williams brings a massive amount of heart to any movie that he does. I think that's what makes his stuff that he did really, really great. And when he passed away, that was a hard day for me. I put on several of his movies and just teared up because growing up, he was a massive influence on me, and that's a whole other topic. A topic I want to discuss when this channel has quite a few subscribers and more of a I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything, but more of an international audience or whatever you want to say. I want to talk about the movie Aladdin and how that was the movie that made me want to do voice acting and impressions because of the genie character, and of course that is Robin Williams. So yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire is another huge influence on me that I would recommend to anybody. And here's the final 3. If there's any Ben Stiller fans with us tonight, the next movie is Meet the Parents, and to me, Meet the Parents, I think it has 2 sequels. There's Meet the Fockers and there's Little Fockers, and I think I only saw each of those once. But Meet the Parents, I could watch that on repeat. And the reason for that is because I've never seen a comedian play pathetic that well. We were talking earlier about Step Brothers, how Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly could play these grown children, these man-child type characters so well. But Ben Stiller in Meet the Parents, no one, in my opinion, has come close to playing the pathetic loser in a movie so well. It's just BS after BS after BS. And again, it's another one of those movies where the main character reaches a point where he's like so stressed out. I think this might be my favorite spaz out scene in a movie by a main character too, is he's put up with so much crap and he's on an airplane and all he wants to do is put his bag above him in the airplane and they're like, "Sir, that's not going to fit." And he's like, "What? It's not like I have a bomb." And she's like, "Sir, you can't say bomb on an airplane." He's just going, "Bomb, bomb, 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 bomb." Yeah, you know what? It's like she's got like these decorative things in her hair and he's like, "Take the little sticky things out of your hair and step off." He just flips out. It's wild. Again, you have to have gone on the emotional roller coaster along with him to really get the humor in that final explosion of anger. But I mean, Ben plays it so well, and I mean his counterpart in the movie is Robert De Niro, and I mean he plays this intimidating father. The whole plot of that is that Ben Stiller wants to get married to his girlfriend, and he's never met her parents, hence the title. And he travels there, and there's another engagement within the family that kind of dominates his proposal, and so he feels like he's already in the shadows. And the dad is just this hard ass, and it's one of the best on-screen duos I think of all time. Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro, Meet the Parents. I mean, he makes him take a lie detector test, and it's crazy. There's another part in there where they lose his luggage in one of the first scenes on his travel to the parents' house, and they send him the wrong luggage to the location, to the parents' house, and the father opens it up and looks inside, keeping in mind it's not his bag. They misplaced it again, and it's got all these adult toys in it and stuff. So he thinks that his girlfriend's boyfriend, or that his daughter's boyfriend, is this like sicko. And like, it's just a great movie with so much misunderstanding amongst characters and misfortune in the main character's plot that it's just hysterical, absolutely hysterical. And there's a great, I don't know if you call it a cameo. I don't think it's a cameo. It just takes a little while to get to it. But of course, Owen Wilson is a great Ben Stiller counterpart on screen. And he's done a lot of movies with Ben Stiller, of course, Starsky and Hutch and Night at the Museum and all those. And he shows up as Ben Stiller's girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, so there's controversy there too, and it's so good. I mean, and I'm not, here's something, might be an unpopular opinion. I'm not a fan of cats, and some pretty funny stuff happens to a cat in this movie. So heads up, if you love cats, you might not enjoy every single scene in Meet the Parents, but there is some pretty funny stuff that happens with the cat in that movie. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. You'll definitely have a really good laugh. The other thing, the last thing I'll say about Meet the Parents is, for me personally, it's really relatable, because of a few times in relationships I've had, I found myself going, I got to impress this girl's family, otherwise I'm not going to be kept around too long, or whatever. People are going to disapprove of me or whatever like that. So there's so many scenes in Meet the Parents that, if you've had a lot of dating experience, or even just one rough dating experience, you can go like, oh man, I've been there. So that's for me, that's another reason why it's one of my favorites. We're down to our final two. We've got a couple more minutes to go. We'll cap it off once we get to the final movie. But the second last one I wanted to mention is actually another Andy Samberg movie. That it's actually the newest movie on my list. It's called Palm Springs, and it was supposed to be released in theaters this year, but due to the pandemic and everything else that's going on, they released it on Hulu, I believe it was, and I was able to find it online and check it out. If you've ever seen the Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day. A lot of people relate Palm Springs to Groundhog Day, and rightfully so. But I personally think it's a little better than Groundhog Day. And I know, again, that might be an unpopular opinion. Groundhog Day is phenomenal, but in this case, it's this time loop situation. There's a wedding going on, and Andy Samberg's character brings the female character. I've not seen the actress in anything else, so I'm drawing a blank on what her name was. But he accidentally gets her involved in this whole time loop situation where they're reliving the same day every single day, where it gets to the point where they're like, oh, I can jump in front of traffic and I'm just going to wake up in bed. So it's the whole concept of what if you were reliving the same day. And I mean, check out Groundhog Day with Bill Murray as well, if you haven't seen that, because it is a phenomenal comedy movie. And actually, one of my teachers from the college I went to Humber College for comedy writing and performing, and I had improv with Robin Duke, who is in Groundhog Day. So check her out in there. It's a good one. And but Palm Springs, yeah, it's just this modernized kind of adaptation. I just call her their mother because she's the mom. Okay, yeah. That's right. So she was in How I Met Your Mother, and there might be somebody watching that goes, "How do you not know her name?" But I'm drawing a blank on it. I didn't want to guess because I don't want to get it wrong, but she's phenomenal in it as well. And J.K. Simmons is actually in this movie a couple times too because he's in the time loop as well. J.K. Simmons, of course, he's in the movie Whiplash as the drumming teacher, and I think everybody knows him as the head of the Daily Bugle in the Spider-Man movies. Bring me pictures of Spider-Man. That guy. And yeah, he wants to kill Andy Samberg's character because he again got him involved in this time loop situation, and he's upset. I've only watched that movie twice, so I don't remember every single detail. I know it's a heavy R rated movie, so again, if there's anybody watching that doesn't like a certain amount of dirty humor or whatever like that, it's probably not for you. But Andy Samberg is my personal favorite modern comedian, so I will watch anything he does. He has yet to make me go, "Hey, well, whoa," but it's rare that that happens, but it has happened. But yeah, if you like the sci-fi kind of vibe to a very down to earth type of plot, then Palm Springs is definitely one you should check out. The soundtrack is amazing for that movie too. After watching it, I downloaded the soundtrack. I listened to it this entire summer. It was the soundtrack of my COVID summer. And I actually, in the movie, they go into the pool with these giant inflatable pieces of pizza, and I ordered myself a giant inflatable piece of pizza, and we spent some time at a cottage, and I listened to the soundtrack from Palm Springs and just floated around on my piece of pizza. That's how influential the movie was for me. So that's a new one. I think everybody should check that out. It's online on Hulu and possibly some other sites. I don't know. I don't want to recommend a dangerous way for anybody to download it or watch it, but if you're able to find it, then definitely check it out. And last but definitely not least, I didn't want to choose too many Jim Carrey movies because he is my favorite actor of all time. And if you didn't see the very first video on this channel, it is Jim Carrey's career in impressions. So definitely check that one out. But the movie I had to go with, and if there's anybody watching that knows me really, 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 really well, you know what I'm about to say, is Dumb and Dumber. That is, in my personal opinion, for my taste and the way that I've been inspired, the best comedy movie of all time. I might be spoiler alerting this for people in the future, but there's only a few people watching, so I'll say Dumb and Dumber is my favorite movie of all time. Nothing comes close to it for me in any genre. And we were talking earlier about like on-screen duos of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro, but Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels as Lloyd and Harry. I've never seen two actors play best friends that are that funny and that believable at the same time. They act in a way that you go, these guys have been friends forever. We don't get their backstory or anything on how they met, and I think that's fine because you just accept the fact, like, yeah, these guys are best friends and they've gone through some pretty funny stuff together, serious stuff together. It's all in the inflection and the tone that a lot of the lines are delivered. But if you don't know Dumb and Dumber that well, again, it's kind of a convoluted plot, like a really run-on plot. Um, yeah, Aiden, we should get together and watch Dumb and Dumber sometime because there's nothing more thrilling for me than watching my favorite movie with someone who's seeing it for the first time. There's a few people that haven't seen it that I'm shocked by. Even some people I went to school with. I don't know if I won't put anybody on blast here, but there's a certain somebody that I'm very good friends with that hasn't seen it, and I've been saying to them, "You need to get your butt over here, and we need to watch Dumb and Dumber." There is a sequel to Dumb and Dumber as well, Dumb and Dumber 2, spelled T-O, because it's spelled wrong uh, on purpose. It was good, nowhere near as good as the first one. And the reason for that is something I mentioned earlier is that, excuse me, in the first movie, Harry and Lloyd, the two main characters, they are the humor of the movie. They're so unbelievably stupid and dumb, obviously, that the world they live in is the world we live in. And the world that they're going through on their road trip adventure, everyone is looking at them like, what the heck? Like, these two are stupid. And I think that's why there's certain people that don't like Dumb and Dumber because they're so convincingly obnoxious that certain people can't handle that level of humor or that type of humor. It's not intellectual enough. If you like bathroom humor and just stupidity, it's done in the most brilliant way. It's the Beethoven's Fifth of stupid buddy movies. And what I was going to say about the sequel and why I don't think it's as good as the first one is that in the sequel, Harry and Lloyd are funny, but all the other characters in the movie are trying to also be the same level of funny. And it just didn't hit the same way. It didn't have the feel of the first one. And I don't know if I was disappointed, but I could just feel that when I went to the theater to see it. I went, there's something missing here. And then I thought to myself, no, it's not something missing. Something was added that didn't need to be added. And it was just this extra layer of humor with all the other characters in the story. And they were all new characters, so that was good. It wasn't like old characters were suddenly funny. It was all these new characters were trying to be a certain level of silly. And it was like, no, 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 let Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels be the characters, you know? The sequel's all right, but nothing comes close to the first one. I mean, I could talk for another full hour about why I love Dumb and Dumber. For me, the character that Jim Carrey plays, Lloyd, Lloyd Christmas is his full name, and Harry Dunn is his friend. Um, I always say Lloyd Christmas, the character of Lloyd Christmas, is my spirit animal because he has this commitment to his best friend. He loves his best friend. I'm the same way with my best friend, and the same level of humor where there's fart jokes, there's laughing so hysterically that you're crying, and like, that level of silliness. But he also has this desire to show the woman that he is interested in or that he loves or whatever that he's willing to do anything for her, including travel across the country to return her briefcase to her. And it's got this vibe to it. It's hard to describe it, but it's just this vibe of Yeah, I think this is the humorous version of the real me. That's how I feel when I watch it. Even the way Lloyd's ego is, like, he's the first to enter the room and his best friend is kind of straggling behind him. I would admit that I'm that personality type, the type to burst into the room and have a joke ready or have a funny look on my face or something like that. Aiden, you know, because of family get togethers. And it's just that type of persona. And he's got a trick up his sleeve all the time, not just a joke, but like if he wants to get back at somebody, he'll get back at somebody. And I can be that way sometimes depending on what's gone on. It's just a really, really fun character that I don't think anybody on earth is capable of playing that, aside from Jim Carrey. So that's a must watch. That's a unsubscribe from my channel if you've never seen it. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't do that. Just kidding. But if you have not seen Dumb and Dumber, you that's mandatory. That's some mandatory fun right there to throw out a Weird Al album title. And that's my 10, guys. So if there's anybody that wants to say anything more about any of the movies that we've talked about tonight, um, feel free. I didn't want to say too much about Dumb and Dumber because I have plans for discussing that movie in its entirety for the future. But my point about it tonight was, if you haven't seen it, you gotta see that. And if anybody that's watching knows me really really well, then and we're able to hang out, let's make it happen. Um, Yeah, man, it'll be fun. We could watch both if you wanted, and that way you can see the difference. Um, and for anybody else that's watching, you watch them back to back, you'll see what I mean. You'll go, yeah, all the characters in the first one are they're the straight man, and that's a term in comedy we use when it's like you got the goofy character, and then you got the straight man that just kind of goes, yeah, okay. So it works well, but like I said, the second one, nobody is the straight man. I don't think, in that one. It's tries too hard to be super silly, but they're both great. But the first one is the best movie of all time, and that's just coming from the number one fan. So that's the 10. As I said, we went a few minutes over time, but that's fine. Thanks for hanging out to the 3 to 5 people that came and went. That's cool. But as I said, guys, as I wrap up here, I just want to say a reminder of that. I want to do the live streams every Friday night. So if you had fun tonight and you have some friends or family that you think would enjoy not only the content that I do, on the weekends now, as I said, there will be a video tomorrow and Sunday, and I'll talk about those in just a second. What you can expect this weekend, but I'm hoping to do the live stream stuff every Friday night. And so, as I said, if you've got some friends and family that like hanging out and checking that kind of stuff out, and as I said, they'll only be about an hour or hour 15 minutes maximum kind of thing, as it was tonight, depending on how many people show up. And we can talk about all kinds of things, any movie, any music. We'll try to keep it related to what I do on this channel, of course. But it's a way for you guys to get to know me better, and me to get to know your guys' interests a little better, and cater those interests on the channel. So that's all I had to say about that. For this weekend, some fun things you can expect to see tomorrow. I check my answering machine, and a lot of cartoon characters have left me messages. So that's tomorrow's video. And on Sunday is another original song. Aiden already got a little inside info on this one when I was in my writing process, but it is a new original song called "I'll Be Okay," and it's in a Weezer style. The instrumentation, the instrumental, is a Weezer song, and I guess you could say it's a parody as well of a Weezer song, but I didn't go full parody. I just went more homage with it. So if you liked Better Off Alone, then you will probably also really enjoy Sunday's song "I'll Be Okay." And I don't want to spoil what it's about, but it's another song from the psychotic part of my brain. So if you like that kind of humor, then you should enjoy the song. And that's all I have for tonight, everybody. I will let you guys know what next Friday's subject matter is going to be. I'll put it everywhere on from Facebook to possibly Instagram. But I have my Twitter as well. You can follow that off of the channel. And what was the final thing I was going to say there? I drew a blank for a second. On the discussion part of the channel, as I said earlier, if you go to that discussion section on the channel and let me know things that you would like to talk about in the live stream, and I'll highly consider any suggestions that you may have. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. This video will be on the channel to watch for as long as I allow it to be. So if you want to come back and rewatch it, you totally can. And until next time, have fun with this weekend's videos, and we'll see you live again in a week. Bye-bye.